The Chicago mayor getting pretty nervous now that the raids are happening in his sanctuary city. Mayor Brandon Johnson is getting the wrath of Tom Homan and the America First administration, saying, "We've received reports of ICE enforcement activity in Chicago today. Please know that Chicago police were not involved. We didn't do anything about rounding up the criminals that are living in our city and wrecking it. My team and I are working closely with city officials. It's important that everyone understands their rights. You can access the Know Your Rights resource guide at chicago.gov," saying, "There have been confirmed reports of ICE enforcement in Chicago. Per city code, police were not involved in this because it's a sanctuary city. My team and I are in close communication, and it's imperative that you know your rights and follow the guidance." And of course, they post it in Spanish too. So Mayor Brandon Johnson doing everything he can to not work with the government to solve this very important problem that even people in Chicago and Illinois and elsewhere want solved. You can see, though, that Dr. Phil joined in on the raids, saying just in, the first arrest in Chicago with Tom Homan was a convicted offender and an internet predator from Thailand. Has to go back. Here is this excerpt from Dr. Phil, who was even out there joining the raids.
What's your name?
Seda.
Seda what? You have a first and last name.
Sam.
Seda Sam?
Yes.
Where you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
You born? You been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported.
I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Shots fired.
before?
I'm not a sinner. I'm not touched by lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom said that.
Your mother's a citizen,
Yes.
but you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
Who's Dr. Phil? Who's that? Dr. Phil?
Yeah. How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, on TV.
Yeah.
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 Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children, and he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with the sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children? Not really? Never been deported?
Let's take them in, process them, lock them up.
Not really is when you are asked if you're like thirsty. No, not really. Hungry right now? You want it? No, I'm good. I think I'm good. You're either charged or you're not. So interesting that that guy was allowed to be out, and whether it was a conviction or there was an open case or a warrant or he was just convicted and released. Who knows what the actual story is on his charges, but going back, he's not going to be here anymore because he has now been detained. We also saw, here was another conversation between Dr. Phil and Tom Homan.
Wonder where they go, who picks them up. This is who picks them up. This is who lures them out on the internet, and they disappear or they get raped and their lives change forever. And he shouldn't even be here, but he's doing this. But they don't raise their hand and say, hey, there's somebody that doesn't even have the right to be here that's preying upon our children, and they don't tell you that.
Exactly. And this governor, Governor Pritzker, and the mayor, they want to vilify the men with ICE. ICE saved children today. ICE saved children today. And it makes me angry. Governor Pritzker the other day went on the internet, social media, saying ICE was attacking our elementary school. He's scaring children. He's scaring the neighborhood, putting fear in the community. We're doing the exact opposite. We're saving children. Every sexual predator we arrest means more safe children. So God bless the men with ICE. As you've seen today, we're not sweeping neighborhoods. This is a target enforcement operation. We spend a lot of time investigating these people. We know exactly who we're looking for. So it's a target enforcement operation. It's the right thing to do.
Well, let's talk about how methodical this was, because you guys had this monster on the list, and they've been sitting on this guy for 2 or 3 days to try to get where he was and his pattern, and you were actually able to ping his cell phone and get him on the move so he could be picked up on the street rather than if he got to his dwelling, wherever that is, and got behind a closed door, then he could have sat there and you didn't have the right to go in and get him if he sits behind that door, right?
Not without a criminal arrest warrant. That's exactly the point. He could have been arrested at a county jail in the safety and security county jail by one officer.
Right.
But we spent hundreds of hours to investigate him, try to find out where he is, and we did find him. It takes a whole team for officer safety to arrest him.
Right.
It's not efficient. We could arrest many more criminals if you let us in the jail. It's a lot harder to find these guys out in the public. These guys don't want to be found. They're in the wind. It takes a lot of investigative work to find them. Let us in the jail. Don't let them hit the street. It saves officers time. It's safer for the community. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer. But spending hundreds of hours of investigation to find this guy when we could have got him in 5 minutes at the Cook County Jail.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, so yeah, very interesting. So would need to know more about what the actual charges were for that guy and whether they were open or closed, whether he was convicted and then, didn't comply with some sort of terms of his conviction, whatever. It doesn't really matter what the charges are. He is illegal and in the country. And so you would expect the local cops to coordinate with the federal cops so that they could identify him and remove him from the country. But it sounds like what's happening is, as a general rule, Chicago is identifying non-citizens who are committing crimes, and even probably before they're convicted, they're releasing them, right? They're releasing them out on bond or on their own recognizance, and they're going free. And so ICE is saying, why don't you just hold them? Okay, ICE has a thing called an ICE detainer. Okay, so once local cops identify these people, you can see people will get an ICE hold, right? ICE will say, don't move that person out of that facility or transport them around. Some states abide by that. Some jails abide by that. And you'll actually find immigration attorneys and criminal defense attorneys who will try to find the jails that won't impose ICE holds on people so that people can go serve their limited amount of jail time without getting picked up and deported out of the country. So the reason why we're kind of listening in on this is to see what are they prioritizing behind the scenes. Obviously, sanctuary cities that might be releasing dangerous criminals, even pre-trial, right, before you're even convicted. You would say, well, that person should not be released because they're not a citizen, right? They don't have the same ramifications of non-compliance. If you're an undocumented person, one of the things that they use to keep you in compliance when you're a citizen, if you don't comply with the law, they issue an arrest warrant, right? And your license gets suspended. Everything stops working. And there are safeguards to keep you in compliance. If you're a non-documented person, if you're an illegal alien, those things don't matter to you as much as a citizen. So ICE has an extra interest in the local cops to go in and detain you, but they're obviously not doing that here. So Tom Homan and Dr. Phil are out there not playing around and rounding up folks who are in violation of the law. 101st Airborne Division is now also going to be integrating it at the border and working alongside DHS, which is wild. Says this from the 101st Airborne Division, which is the official Twitter page for them, for the 101st Airborne Division. There's this press release that came out of Fort Campbell. Fort Campbell soldiers departed today en route to the U.S. southern border in support of U.S. Northern Command's mission to protect the territorial integrity of the United States. Soldiers assigned to the 716th Military Police Battalion, 101st Airborne Division, will integrate with military forces already along the border and work together with DHS and CBP. Prior to their departure, they've conducted a patching ceremony. Screaming Eagle patch as part of ongoing Army structure. They said, we're trained and ready to support this important mission, said Lieutenant Colonel Philip Mason. Our soldiers are committed to protecting all Americans and supporting our civilian partners in defending the territorial integrity of the United States. We're also proud to mobilize for this mission wearing the Screaming Eagle patch, which has historical significance to the 7-6. So, from the 101st Airborne Division, they're also heading out there. And here was Tom Homan from inside the vehicle.
Where are we heading, Tom?
Chicago, Illinois, you want to arrest public safety threats? We got all the government approach. We got U.S. Marshals, we got FBI, we got ATF. got GEA, you got ICE, you got HSI, we got them all here. So the president's plan of all of government is that look how many crime in this city. We're going
All right, so they're going after him. So Tom Homan and the rest of them rocking and rolling.